What conspiracy theories do you think are too logical to ignore?
Silent scan.
1. Kennedy gets elected. 2. Kennedy is critical of the CIA, his VP and military for wanting to turn the Cold War into a hot one and the willingness to perform false flag operations, Project Northwoods, to do it. 3. Kennedy is shot. 4. His VP takes power. 5. Classified.
Silent scan.
David Miscavige, the chairman of the Church of Scientology, definitely murdered his wife and is getting off scot-free for it. Him and his wife got into a pretty heated argument in 2007 and she hasn't been seen since. Lawyers hired by David claim she is still alive and devotes 100% of her time to work at the Church of Scientology, which is why she hasn't been seen since August 2007. In 2013, a former member of the church had filed a missing person report that was closed after a few officers had spoken and seen Mrs. Miscavige, even though there's no evidence whatsoever of this meeting. All missing persons reports now are turned down, since this investigation is forever closed. Lyra Minnie has had it investigated as well, and written letters to Shelley with no response. Before he left the church she wrote letters to Shelley that the church refused to deliver, and when she asked where Shelley was she was told she didn't have clearance to ask that question.
Silent scan.
This one isn't as serious as most of the ones on here, but I enjoy it and have gotten into many a convo about it. In the 2017 NBA playoffs, a player named Markieff Morris, who at the time played for the Washington Wizards, hurt his ankle in Game 1. This was only 11 minutes into the game, and he didn't return. The injury looked like he would be out for a couple weeks and no one expected him to play Game 2. But he showed up Game 2 and played as if he was never injured. In fact, had his best game statistically of the playoffs to that point. Here's where it gets interesting. Markieff Morris has an identical twin brother named Marcus who also plays in the NBA. His brother was playing for the Pistons, who were eliminated from the playoffs already. The theory is that Marcus played for his brother. Both brothers have the exact same tattoos and don't have any super apparent different traits.
Silent scan.
So my dad actually confirmed a popular dig conspiracy theory. I told him about the laundry detergent caps have the full line too high on purpose, and he told me this was true. He interned at P&G, and they taught him the full line was for the highest level of cleanliness our product can give. You can get away with using much less detergent. Joke's on him, I just pour in a random amount of detergent every time.
Silent scan.
This one is small and local, but still too insane to ignore, and just came up today. Just recently, our small suburban town's favorite gas station went out of business. Everyone went there, the guy who ran it was the mayor. He retires and sells the property after an issue with the ground underneath the gas pumps. They tear down the gas pumps and keep the garage. Mavis Tire bought the property and opened a new store. A few days after the Mavis opens, someone posts a picture on Facebook of an intersection at a road near it with nails all over the road. The guy theorizes that a box of nails fell off of a construction truck. The police come clean it up, and it seems all is well. Fast forward a few days later, and people are commenting on the post that they're finding nails in their car tires. Not just from that intersection. People jokingly say maybe it was the new Mavis guys throwing nails around, but nothing really happens. Several weeks later, people have been posting day in and day out pictures of nails in their car tires. My dad took my car into the Mavis in question about 3 weeks ago, and they found a nail inside of the right front tire. I noticed that it was driving sort of funny, but never that my tire was on the verge of exploding. I jokingly said people have been saying you guys have just been going around throwing nails all over the place, trying not to laugh at how insane it sounded to say out loud. The guy behind the counter said nothing but yeah with a weird smirk. Over 50 people have posted on the town Facebook that their cars have had nails in their tires. My mom is driving my car now because her car has a nail in the tire. It's been almost 3 months. I'll post updates if anyone is interested.
Silent scan.
Jamie Lynn Spears was raped by Dinskneder. He is the father of her first child. He ruined Zoe 101.
Silent scan.
With the number of millionaire/billionaires that are psychopaths or similar, there must be a few super rich serial killers out there. By extension, there must be people making money supplying victims in the same way Epstein was supplying girls to the wealthy who wanted to scratch an itch. With the money, power, and influence would come governments and intelligence agencies willing to overlook or cover up terrible actions for leverage.
Silent scan.
Even if one UFO sighting is real, then that changes everything we know about the entire universe. There is a reason that information on UFOs is dripped through the media. The Nimitz Tic Tac is the snowflake on top of the ice cube on top of the tip of the iceberg in terms of extraterrestrial life reaching Earth. UFOs are the single largest documented unknown event in human history, and we have fucking cave drawings showing people in the sky coming down to Earth. Bob Lazar and Dr. Stephen Greer are the most well known, but literally hundreds of military, political and aerospace personnel have come forward to talk and show evidence of life and technology from outside our planet.
Silent scan.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to get even more awesome content. Come on, it just takes 1 second.
Silent scan.
Mattress Firm is a drug cartel or a money laundering company, or maybe they are laundering money for the drug cartels. I don't know, but whatever it is, they're up to no good. Money laundering is most easily done through cash businesses though, and most people wouldn't buy a mattress with cash. Also, a mattress store has limited inventory at any given time, so their financials would be difficult to mess with. If you're trying to launder money, there's so many easier ways.
Silent scan.
Princess Diana car crash wasn't accidental. I truly believe P. Philip hired someone to get rid of her, and have a feeling that when him, Elizabeth and Charles die, some very secret conversations, MLZCC, will come out. Madeleine McCann was accidentally killed by her parents. I don't believe they intended to do it, but I do believe they covered it up, and once the press ECC arrived, they seen an opportunity to make money out of the situation.
Silent scan.
Fidel Castro being Canadian PM Justin Trudeau's father. The resemblance really is uncanny. He looks nothing like his supposed biological father, and when you see that the dates his mom was staying with the Castros in Cuba, everything really does line up. She also had numerous affairs rumors with people like Mick Jagger while she was married. She really had a history of getting around and partying at places like Studio 54, etc.
Silent scan.
The reason Disney came out with a movie called Frozen was so that when you Googled Disney Frozen you would get information about the movie and not websites talking about Walt Disney's body being frozen. The same goes for Disney on Ice. In that case, look out for the 2022 release of *NTC might coming to a movie theater near you.
Silent scan.
The theory that there is more to COVID-19 than governments are prepared to admit. This is our 4th major coronavirus after SARS and MERS and swine flu. Not sure if that's a corona variant, but governments are treating it like it's a far more virulent plague with quarantines, evacuations and a panic level completely out of proportion for the apparent number of affected and deceased.
Silent scan.
That Diana Ross and Smokey Robinson are Michael Jackson's actual parents. That's why he was the talent in the Jackson family, and why there were rumors that he was Evan Ross's father. They both looked like Diana. Smokey would have been 18 and Diana 14 years old when Michael was born, so Berry Gordy arranged to have the kid given to his old boxing buddy and fellow musician from Chicago, Joe Jackson, who he would fund, leading to the formation of the Jackson 5. Joe had a big family where Michael would get everything he needs while training him to be an entertainer, and Motown could protect their image by taking the child out of the picture. It turns out the kid is a talent, and as we all know, the Jackson 5 make it to Motown, but even before that there were several documented instances of Diana Ross in Gary, Indiana, such as at the school talent show where the Jackson 5 performed. She has said multiple times on live television that Michael is her baby/child, says she's doing it all for him, and joked about him playing her son in a future movie. She has also said publicly she was in love with Smokey Robinson growing up, living on the same street as him in Detroit, which is odd because he had a girlfriend during that time who he later married. Diana also changed high schools around the time Michael was conceived, when she would have gotten pregnant. She was going to Cass Tech to study home economics, and Smokey also enrolled in an engineering college around this time because they were soon to be parents and Motown hadn't broke big yet. A decade later the Jackson 5 auditioned for Motown in Detroit, then did a second performance at a Motown get-together at Berry's house, and Michael has stated that at that point Diana told them she wanted to take special interest in their career. There's a movie called Double Platinum which stars Diana Ross, and is about how she gave up her kid for her career, and later reveals to the kid she's her mother when she sees that the kid has talent, then goes on to help her with her career, which would parallel the real life story with Michael. Her daughter in the movie also wears a dress that has the same design as the shirt Michael wore for Billie Jean at Motown 25. It's written by Michael in his autobiography Moonwalk that he and the Jacksons lived with Diana Ross in Hollywood Hills when the Jackson 5 first signed to Motown and moved to LA, and her and Michael used to go out almost every day, just the two of them. This would have been when Diana Ross revealed to Michael she's his mom. He would have been about 10 years old, and that's why he became quiet and shy from then on. This wouldn't be her only time doing this. When she had a daughter with Berry Gordy, she didn't tell her who her father was until she was 13. Smokey Robinson also stated, when he was leaving the Larry King interview shortly after Michael passed away, that one of his fondest memories of Michael was when he used to go golfing at the age of 10 or 11 with him and Bobby Taylor, who is said to have discovered the Jackson 5, even though their first album at Motown was presented by Diana Ross. This was also what Michael meant in the song Billie Jean when this happened much too soon. She called me to her room. Diana was the one who said I'm the one, but the kid is not my son. She meant I'm your mother, but you're not my son, you're a Jackson now. Diana Ross is Billie Jean. Diana plays a character called Billie Holiday in Lady Sings the Blues, which came out a few years before The Wiz with MJ. This is also what the song Dirty Diana is about. It's about Diana Ross, the groupie who seduces Smokey Robinson, who she grew up on the same street as, conceiving Michael. Then there's the song Who Is It, which is about a mystery person who abandoned Michael, and in the music video he holds a card that says Diana. The song Wanna Be Startin' Something also talks about how, if you can't feed your baby, then don't have a baby, and again refers to the mystery Billie Jean character. He references Ain't No Mountain High Enough in the song Leave Me Alone, and says don't you come walking begging back, mama. He also references Ain't No Mountain High Enough in the songs Baby Be Mine, Speechless, and Keep the Faith. This is all also why you see a weird sexual dynamic between Michael Jackson and Diana Ross, but you will never actually see a picture or video of them making out. Recently a video surfaced of Diana Ross singing You Are Not Alone to Katherine Jackson, just like how she probably used to sing Ain't No Mountain High Enough to Michael when he was living with her. This is seen in the aforementioned movie Double Platinum as well. Diana sings her lost daughter to sleep with a famous song. And in TMZ's video the last time we saw Joe Jackson, an old senile Joe says I raised Michael, he's my son and Quincy Jones knows better. I don't talk about it, no way. He's defending the supposed fact that Michael is his son for a seemingly unknown reason, and even in past interviews he always emphasized he's a Jackson. After MJ's death, Joe, when interviewed, said he was doing great. Meanwhile Smokey Robinson went on the Larry King Show and praised MJ as an artist. This theory explains why Michael not only looks like Diana Ross and has the same features and eyes as her, but also explains why his facial structure looks like Smokey's and their profiles and ears are completely identical, and why he was a musical prodigy who had the stage presence and songwriting abilities of his real parents. Diana, Smokey, and Michael are the only three musicians besides the Beatles who have 2 stars each on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, one for being a member of their original groups, and one to celebrate their success as a solo artist, as well as having a very soft voice, which both Smokey and Diana, and Evan Ross, have in common. Here you can see how much different his eyes looked from his brothers, and how much they looked like Ross eyes. Now you can see why his personality developed the way it did. It's why he acted like an orphan and called himself Peter Pan and built Neverland to help disadvantaged kids. Why he isolated himself from his family and could never manage to have a normal relationship with women. It absolutely explains why he had such a severe identity crisis. And it explains why Diana Ross is second to Katherine Jackson in his will regarding who would take care of his children, and why Joe Jackson has been known to dislike Diana Ross. At Michael Jackson's public memorial, the first person that comes out is Smokey Robinson reading a letter from Diana Ross, who writes that she's mourning so hard that she cannot attend the memorial, and that Michael was part of the fabric of her life. When Smokey speaks about MJ later, he calls him his little brother, which would imply blood relative. In the movie Hitsville USA, The Making of Motown, Berry Gordy jokes with Smokey about how some of the babies that the groupies were having were his, and that MJ reminded him of a little Smokey. Also, the movie An American Dream was about the Jackson 5 and World Bean propaganda to reinforce the cover-up story. So, it wasn't that Michael was ever trying to look like Diana Ross like people thought. He was actually displaying features and mannerisms that he inherited from her. In one of the clips below, she says he has the same features, skin tone, and bone structure as her. Now you might say, well, Janet looks a lot like MJ, but growing up in his shadow she adopted many of his mannerisms and used makeup and plastic surgery to replicate his appearance, like LaToya did, but their vanity was merely deception. Joe and Berry branded and marketed the Jacksons a certain way to make Michael seem related, such as with the matching outfits and afros, but if you look at their features, it's clear the only similarity to Michael is the way they smile, a learned trait. MJ has much more defined features and is rail thin like Diana Ross, and his nose and chin match Smokey's. Now it's clear why Joe told him he had a fat nose and singled him out so much with the abuse.
Silent scan.
Congratulations, you reached the end of this awesome video. Now, like and subscribe, like we talked earlier, come on.
Silent scan.